It's that time of year. It's time for my semi-annual Evernote cleanout. I want to show you what I do because spending a little time on this now keeps my system running smoothly. So I want to show you how I do it, the decisions I make, and how you can adapt this for your own system. Hi, I'm Dave Edwards, a certified Evernote expert. I like sharing what I know with you. At the end of every year, and again around July 1st, I tend to do a deep dive on my Evernote setup and I make adjustments accordingly. I mean, during the rest of the year, I'm frankly way too busy to adjust anything. And I also don't want to fall into the trap of constantly fine tuning things because that can be a distraction from actually doing important work. So there's a number of things that I do that allows me to be more productive. So, just in the everyday use of Evernote, you're going to have collected a lot of different notebooks and tags and the like. This is the time when I go through all of this to make sure that they are still relevant to me. So, let me show you a couple of things that I do. The first thing I do is I look at my stacks and I ask myself, are these stacks still relevant to me? Uh, do I need this stack anymore, or should I allow these notebooks to stand on their own outside of a stack? So I'll make decisions about all of these different notebooks in the stack. Is this stack named appropriately? And as I'm going through this, I may decide, you know what, this is no longer relevant. So I can either archive it or I can trash it. More often than not, I archive it. So once I do that with my stacks and my notebooks, so then because some of the things that I found may need to go into my archive, I may go into my archive. And by the way, I name this Z archive just so alphabetically it falls to the bottom. So then I look at my archive and I say, all right, I have a work archive and a personal archive, but should I maybe say, well, you know what, I've got a lot going on here in my personal archive. Should I create a separate archive notebook for my hobbies? I tend not to create too many archive notebooks because once something is in archive, I'm probably not going to go to these individual archives to find something if I'm looking for it. I will use the search feature. But, I make a decision. Are these still relevant to me? Am I still working with this client? Or does this client now, if I'm no longer working with this individual, would it make more sense for me to slide this into my archive? Any old projects or files will get moved into this archive. Now, I know that many people keep all of the receipts inside of Evernote, and you might have one for your work environment, you might have one for your personal activities. But once a year we have to go through that exercise of getting things ready to file our taxes, at least here in the United States, by April 15th. This is maybe a good time to look at the archive of receipts so that I'm prepared to turn all this over to my accountant. I do the same thing with tags. Are these tags still relevant? Do I need to delete some of them? Do I need to add some tags? As you're kind of going along through this, if Fred has moved on, you might have forgotten that you even have this tag. This is a good time to take a look at that. Now, you might ask about archive. Do you keep everything in archive? Yeah, for the most part, I do. If it is something that I'm probably never, ever going to use again, I have a deep archive system. So, first of all, let me explain what that means. I had a 9 to 5 job that I retired from a number of years ago. All of the files that I had in Evernote related to that job really are no longer relevant to me. I don't need them to be searchable. But you know what? Maybe it's just that I'm a pack rat. I never want to delete anything. And to be honest, once I left that job, there were times where people who were still there would call me and say, do you remember when we developed a policy on whatever it was? Do you still have the documents on that? And I do. Not in Evernote. I use Dropbox for that. You can use any kind of service. I have a client who has an external drive that he bought for the purpose of his deep archives. That's fine too. I just happen to use Dropbox for that. And those, by the way, are organized very similar to the way the archive is here in Evernote, but they're in Deep Archive. If you come down to this More button, one of the things you will find is the trash bin. This is a good time to open up your trash bin and delete what's in there, because obviously you've deleted a number of items, and now it's your chance to kind of go through this and say, all right, do I really want to get rid of this, or do I just really want to let it accumulate here until Evernote deletes it? Once you've decided that you don't need any of this stuff, again, come over here and empty the trash. I do that a couple of times a year. I also keep a someday maybe list. It's because I'm a follower of the getting things done methodology. Things that are not on my task list, but things that maybe I'd like to do someday, go on a separate someday maybe list. Well, as part of my annual clear out process, I take a look at the someday maybe list and see if I want to make any changes, add things or delete things to that. 10 years ago, you might want to put, I want to do some skydiving. And now looking back, you go, I'd never jump out of a perfectly good plane. Okay, so then clear it out of your someday maybe list. Templates is a feature that some people use, and one of the things that you can use it for is the creation of a daily note. Now, I don't use daily notes, but if you do, this might be a good time to take a look at your daily note collection and decide, are you still keeping up with it, or is Evernote just generating a new daily note every day for you and you never use it? In which case, then you go over to settings and you just delete the daily note feature. Take a look at your templates. Are these templates still important to you? Do you use them, or are they just taking up space? You can keep them here, but if you find out that you haven't used this template in the last 6 months, maybe it's time to get rid of it or modify it. Maybe you no longer want this format. You want to delete something. This is a good time to take a look at that as well. Now, I also do this with my paper files. I do this within Evernote, but I do still have some paper files, and I do the same kind of purge twice a year, just as I do in Evernote with that file cabinet that's sitting next to me. Not difficult, but important. Okay, it's time for a question from a viewer. Barbara emailed me and said, what do I do if I want to share a note with someone, but not sending them a note link? Well, Barbara, you could just cut and paste your note into an email or a Word document, but that can be kind of messy. You could also export the note as a PDF and then share that. I hope that helps, Barbara. If you have an Evernote question for me, post them below or email me at daveedwards@outlook.com. And in case you want more help with setting up the ideal productivity system in Evernote, I do one-on-one coaching. I help you design a system that will work for you. No cookie cutter approach. I get to know what you want to accomplish, and then by sharing screens, I'm able to help you set up your Evernote system. You can find out more information on that at daveedwardsmedia.com/Evernote. Do you need help using Evernote or setting it up? Do you want it to be the heart of your productivity system rather than just a jumbled mess of notes and notebooks? Let me help you. Hi, I'm Dave Edwards, a certified Evernote expert, and I help clients all around the world with one-on-one coaching. You show me your system, I'll share my screen, and together we will design your Evernote system so that it's easy to work with and helps you be more efficient. Find out more, including how we set up a free 30-minute Get Acquainted call. Visit daveedwardsmedia.com/Evernote for more information.